There's YouTube. Ladles and jelly spoons. Welcome to Truth, Love, and Peace. Joining me today, Mr. Zach Van Gestel.
Hey, what's up,
Thanks so much. Hey.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. So, hey Facebook, hey YouTube, all that good stuff.
Hi, Internet.
We, me and my infinite wisdom put Zach's back to a well-lit window, so he's going to look angelic all day long. See that?
I have the hair of an angel, and and now I have the lighting of an angel. It's great.
You are haloed out, my
Soul of
friend.
the devil, though. I will tell you that. I'm a demon. Yeah.
Did you start out that way, or did you have to graduate to that?
I actually sold my soul whenever I was like 17 or 18 or something stupid like that.
Well, tell us that story then.
You want to start off with that story?
Why not?
Is my mom going to see this? Is it tagged?
It's on Facebook.
Is it tagged on mine?
Yes, it will be.
Okay. Oh, fuck, man. Well, hopefully she's not home from work yet, so she can't see this. Yeah, I mean, I hope the statute of limitations of the spiritual realm, it won't apply anymore. But whenever I was like 17 or 18, me and my friends were at a buddy's house, and we were drinking, and one of my friends was super into the occult, right? Mm-hmm. And so we were smoking and drinking, and we were just being stupid, and we set up like a pentagram and like with beer cans, you know, and then my friend like knew a satanic prayer, and we were supposed to sell our soul, and then like in turn we would get what we wish for, you know. Yeah. Which is just like glorified wishing well, you know.
And what did you get out of this deal?
Well, I asked to be famous. I guess I didn't really specify what kind of level of fame that I want, because because in this town, you know, I have friends who know me. You know, I have a close group of friends who know me, so maybe that's famous in some regard. You know,
it is.
And the devil's a trickster, so.
It is. Yeah. That's very true.
Yeah.
So I guess that leads to, we'll do backstory first. So give us the context for that. Where'd you grow up? Where are you from?
Milton, Florida.
Okay, so you were in Florida performing these occult rituals.
When you put it that way, it sounds bad. Okay, this is a one-off thing. Actually, it's not, because I have done like a homemade Ouija board situation, which was
Explain.
Well, you know how a Ouija board is like you know what a Ouija board is?
I do.
Okay.
I do. The gateway to the devil.
Yes. All right.
Or a good time, depending on how you want to look at it.
You know, a few beers in, that line is diluted. You know, you'll know if it's a good time or you're the next Aleister Crowley.
Right.
You know, we just made it. We wrote the alphabet down on paper. Wrote hello, goodbye, and it was weird. We used a CD for the medium.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask. I couldn't come up with anything good.
Yeah. That really works because it has a circle in every, you know. So
you're like right on top of it. Perfect.
Right.
Good thinking.
It was kind of freaky too, man, because there was this one point where we had...
What CD was it?
You know, I think it was a blank CD.
Would have been way better if it had been, you know, insert your favorite, some Ozzy or some shit like that.
I was going to say, after we, it was a blank CD, but after that night we popped in my CD player, and it was the Black Sabbath Paranoid album, Masters of Reality.
Nice. That is a successful occult gathering. I think,
right.
Well, sure.
Well, who knew that the devil could just be useful for burning CDs?
Well, you know. Yeah. I think that's kind of been his MO for a long time.
Yeah, piracy is a sin.
Burning
against
information.
God.
It is. Apparently, whoever that is, I haven't met him yet, but I keep hearing good things. Well, some days it's bad things, depending on who you ask.
About God?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well.
And his agent. Can't get a hold of either of them.
Which one's his agent, the Holy Spirit or Jesus? I always get those confused.
I thought they were like business partners.
Yeah.
I figured his agent would be like Saint Michael or one of the angels.
Oh,
Michael's
right,
an angel,
yeah.
not a saint.
There's Gabriel.
Yeah, one of those guys.
Yeah, who knows?
I see him as like the pretty boy in Fight Club. Mm-hmm. You know, there's got to be one.
Wait, which one? Which one's the pretty boy in Fight Club?
You know, the one who I felt like destroying something beautiful? Is the blonde-haired guy?
The Brad Pitt guy? Or
No. He's like a one-off character. He's not one of the main characters.
In Fight Club?
Yeah, he was one of the one-offs. and he was the blonde, dyed hair, pretty boy, and Edward Norton just destroys him and then keeps on going, and the guy's face is mangled, and he goes, I felt like destroying something beautiful.
I don't remember that part of the movie, but that's oddly satisfying. You know, I could see that. I could see where he would get some satisfaction out of that. That movie was cool. I didn't see that until I was like 20 years old. You know, way too late to see that movie because it's amazing.
What was his name? Chuck Palahniuk, the author. One of my favorite books is by him.
Which one?
Rant, the oral biography of Buster Casey. It's really good. It's really good. It deals with time travel and some psychology stuff and some socio-cultural stuff. It's a really, really good book, and it's written for people like me with short attention spans. Because
that's good, yeah.
It's written as an oral biography, and so the impossible task, I imagine, of trying to write 40 different character perspectives, but it makes it really easy to listen to.
Right. He's really good at that, though. I mean, I'm not a big reader, and I haven't read Fight Club, but if that's anything like the movie is anything like the book, there's a lot of characters in that movie. You know.
His name is Robert Paulson. There, all just flooding back to mind now.
Who's Robert Paulson?
Meatloaf. Meatloaf was played, Man Tits.
Oh, Bill.
His name is Robert Paulson. Yeah.
Bob.
Yeah, Bob.
Yeah.
God, that's so funny. He was so good in that movie.
Yeah.
Good old Meatloaf.
Yeah.
Good old Meatloaf. So you grew up here in Milton, Florida, and how has, I don't know. Did you see Vernon, Florida? I have to ask. Being from Milton, Vernon, Florida.
Vernon, no.
It's a documentary it's a crazy documentary on Netflix, but apparently they were chopping off people's limbs. Anyway, it's not too far from here. I haven't been, and so I ask everybody from this area if they've heard about it. That's a whole other thing. We'll talk about it next time we sit down. That'll be your homework, is to watch Vernon.
I mean,
Florida.
yeah, that sounds.
It's a crazy documentary.
That sounds. You've already, I've told you already that I'm into like weird occult shit, or it interests me at some point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm into cutting off limbs.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Show
and
me.
there was this. So the story goes, there was this thing in Vernon, Florida, where people were cutting off their limbs to collect the insurance money for whatever reason, and so they went to do a documentary on this phenomenon. Nobody would talk about it. So the documentary Vernon, Florida has nothing to do with amputation, even though that was the intent of the documentary. And instead, it's all the B-roll of them talking to other people about everything but this phenomenon that Vernon, Florida was known for a really long time. So it's weird. It's interesting, but it's weird.
So like the people of Vernon, Florida knew that was happening?
It kind of it came up, or they figured it out, or something, and everybody refused to talk to the people.
Yeah, because it was like a small town, and they didn't want to sully the name of their...
Yeah, and so the people they end up talking to are just their own characters in their own little ways. And it's cool because it's a great shot of what small town life is like. It reminded me a lot of my relatives coming from, hunting communities and backwood communities, dirt roads.
Are you from Alabama?
Yeah, I grew up in Mobile, and my family's from West Alabama, so way out in the woods, south of Tuscaloosa.
I've been in Tuscaloosa. It's kind of a bigger city, right?
Yeah, big.
It's a college town.
Yeah, University of Alabama's there. That's the big school, and lots of football, and I don't do crowds. I was there briefly for school, and we didn't get along.
At University of Alabama?
Yeah.
You didn't like it?
No, they didn't like me, and I didn't like them. we didn't mesh.
Well, at least it's mutual.
Yeah, I chose University of Alabama for grad school just specifically to be close to my grandparents before they passed away.
Really?
Yeah, and then when they passed away, it was just like, fuck school like this. I have no interest in arguing with you idiots. So I bailed, and that's how I got into music, being an audio engineer. That was about 5 years ago for me, though. That was a pretty big leap. But that was way before I got into comedy. Way before I got into comedy. When did you get into comedy?
Well, I was gonna after. No, I mean before. Sorry. I was going to say though, because I got into music as a youth, and I was really like flirting with the idea of doing it live, and I've done a few open mics live, but obviously.
Cool.
No, not cool, because I fucking, it's the most embarrassing thing whenever you don't think you sound good in front of other people. I don't know. It's such a weird feeling to like to love music so much and then do it in front of people live and kind of think that was your career path all along or your life path all along, and then that was like destroyed because it was so hard to convey like sounding good.
I understand that. I definitely understand that when expectations are ruined and just reality comes crashing in.
Right, and I never thought that I was an amazing musician. It was just something that like this is what I was born to do.
Yeah.
And then I did it, and I was like, I
get nothing back.
I know. No, and like there was no good feeling. Like with comedy, you have bad nights, but you still, or at least I still have like this thing that drives it. You know, this feeling of like I'm still doing something right. Yeah.
See, when you say this feeling of doing something right, what is that to you? Because I got an instant visual of what I think that is, but what is that to you?
I don't know. I think I don't want to sound like I'm gloating or anything. I think I'm pretty good at making people feel good, making people laugh, putting a smile on someone's face, and that's what comedy is supposed to be, right?
Sure. So my thought when you said that was a little more specific. For me, that little nugget that I can always hang on to is that when it's really bad, I can at least find when people are laughing at me, or I can turn it and get people to laugh at me with me. Yeah. So I can make fun of myself. Because self-deprecation is a big part of comedy,
right?
And so learning how to take those
your
moments,
wheels,
yeah. And so if I can always find that as my route, then at least I have something in common with the audience. So that's my version of feeling good. That's my connection.
Right. Yeah. I guess I agree with you because even when you have bad nights, there are you can still make fun of yourself.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's kind of
fallback.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of cheap because any decent comedian knows how to do that.
Yeah.
But it's something that like all comedians have in common. It's like they're able to make fun of themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It made me think that I used to be so self-conscious about people making fun of me, and I guess finding a way to like to be in control of that, is a big reason that I got into comedy, or really like comedy at least.
Heck yeah. Well, I know you're one of the co-founders of Back Porch Comedy here at the Back Porch Bar and Grill. But how long have you been doing stand-up?
It's coming up on 4 years, I believe. Yeah, no, actually, May was 4 years. Yeah, May. I started the day after Robin Williams died. I remember that. I wasn't conscious of it whenever I was doing it.
Yeah.
But then looking back and doing the math and everything, I was like, that was the day after Robin Williams died. Because he died on a Monday and open mic is on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So somewhere around mid-May.
I'm trying to think back where I was when I heard that news. I was still running sound. So 4 years, man. You're fucking awesome. You've only been doing this for 4 years?
No, that's flat. I mean, if I've been doing it for 4 years, and I feel like I should be better. That's what it feels like to me.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I have a hard time taking it seriously. So not comedy, but like things in general seriously.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
So I feel like I should be doing, because I respect it so much. I feel like I should be doing more with it. But then again, fuck it. I like performing here. It's fun.
What would you want to do more with it? I mean,
I don't know. I kind of envision myself like going on the road, I guess.
Me too. I would love to figure out how to get there.
Yeah.
Do you have any, like, what's your roadmap? What's the game plan? You got any plans to do that?
I mean, the game plan is loose, right? Like, I don't know when it's going to happen, but I think booking gigs is pretty. I mean, I haven't done it a whole lot. I've done a few out of town shows that I booked myself, but it's pretty easy once you get to know people,
Nice.
Because there's so many communities doing comedy that no one even really knows about, and you're probably gonna go to like a lot of shitholes,
Yeah.
and do comedy for 4 people. But that's how you start getting on the road, I suppose.
Yeah.
Without an agent.
My thought was find someone that's already doing it, like you or Olivia or Tony, someone that more of a vet, and just offer up, and be like, I'll drive.
Yeah.
Let me be your guest opener, and go that route.
Right. Which isn't a bad idea, but then you have to have people who are committed to,
Going out, hitting the road.
It's easy to say that you'll do something in the moment.
Yeah.
But to actually take off of work for a few weeks and go on the road.
Really hard.
Yeah.
Really hard.
Yeah.
I'd like to find some weekend runs, like do some 3 days. I'm looking forward to seeing JJ Curry tonight because I know he's down in Tampa with Matt Williams.
Yeah, he's doing it, man.
They're crushing it. I can't wait to pick his brain and see what all they're doing. Take some notes. And
is Matt Williams in town too?
I don't know, but I hope so. I hadn't seen him in forever, so I'd love to see him, hear how he's doing.
Yeah, JJ is one of the fucking monsters that came out of this place, and it's good to see someone who actually has a talent.
Yeah.
And then go somewhere with it.
Yeah. I hope he goes really far with it because he's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
But so that's 4 years ago. So you've gotten to see this scene grow up. So
yeah, that's my favorite. That's my favorite part, dude. Is seeing all these people that I'm friends with, getting better and better.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
So was JJ already here when you were here? What did it look like 4 years ago?
Whenever I started, it was definitely sort of a different scene. I don't know if it's because of the lack of people, but it felt tighter. It felt like everyone was really just doing it because they loved it, And now I feel like now I feel like sometimes it's just it's who are these new people, I don't know how to explain it because there's a lot of new good talent, you're a powerhouse, man. You're hosting the Blind Mule and shit like that. That's awesome.
It's an honor, yeah.
But for a long time it was just these select group of people,
Yeah.
And they're and that's that group kind of graduated into what it is now, but there's more people. There's more like-minded people. I don't know. I think I'm babbling.
No, not at all. I think that's a great point. And I was talking with Jade Green over in Mobile, just to give him a plug, and we were discussing something similar. And he was talking about the way that it's kind of like high school and having a class come in under you. Like here at the Back Porch, I'm kind of the freshman class. And I'm one of the newer guys to the scene. But being around a year, once we get some more people in here, then I'll get to graduate to be a sophomore.
Right, yeah.
And so having those new comics is kind of part of the keeping the scene going. And this is what Jade was saying. He's saying that having new comics is part of what keeps the scene healthy. But without a solid tradition and senior class like you and Tony and Olivia to pass those torches on and teach good lessons, then things get wonky and people struggle. But it's one of the things that I think, and to you guys' credit, has just makes Pensacola awesome, is that I got to walk into something that was already built.
Yeah.
And just start focusing on learning from everybody.
Well, so did I, really.
Yeah.
I walked into something that was already established, and it wasn't.
Tony and Kirby and all those guys have been doing it a long time.
Yeah. And this place was on lock. They were doing this place every single week, 2 nights a week. So I had a place to come in and get my bearings.
Yeah. Makes it so much easier.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, I can't fucking imagine start up out of thin air your own scene.
That sounds impossible.
Right, doesn't it?
Sounds.
I can barely figure out how to get on the fucking road, much less start a scene in a small, smallish town.
Yeah. I've seen some of that firsthand, trying to help grow the scene back out in Perdido Key with Emily, and it's hard convincing people that their nose belongs on their face. I've never understood it.
I've never heard that expression before. Now I'll say it forever.
Yeah, because I talk to bar owners, and it's like, okay, look, here's the depth of talent in the pool that I know. Knowing people here, knowing people in Mobile. When I talk to people on the coast, it's like, you have access to all of this. We will do good things. We will put money in the register. We've proven that we can do that.
They're still like, I don't know.
Nah, we're not in the business of making money. What in the world? So it's kind of crazy. But yeah, so to double back, thanks to everyone that's put in the work, because Brogan was saying how it's amazing, and I agree with him, how much talent comes out of Pensacola, because it just good comics come out of this room downstairs at the back porch.
Yeah, there's been amazing nights here that, you know, I think that could be put against like some of the biggest cities in America.
Well, you were talking about you know, what the 4 years of it growing up looked like. So
right, yeah.
So when tie those two things together. What are some fun ones?
Let's see. When I walked in, it was it was so fucking loose. It was so off the rails sometimes. You know, we had people who were finding out that they were alcoholics and becoming them at an aggressive rate. You know, we had people who didn't give a shit about the scene, but were somehow still benefiting from it. You know, and we had this core group who were fucking ruthless to each other sometimes. You know, there were people who were like they would call me cute, and that would like, I guess that's not really ruthless, but you know what I mean. Like they know that these people know what to say.
Right.
To get
it was
to
a
you.
button.
Yeah. These people aren't your fucking normal like run of the day. They'll be mean in very creative ways.
Isn't that true about a lot of good comics? Though? Like you kind of have to be creative.
Yeah. To get away with it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. If that weren't funny, I'd have whooped your ass.
Yeah. There's nothing better than like a feeling of making fun of somebody, and it's almost like they don't know until a second later. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
It's like the devil behind all the comedians is, but yeah, I mean, like it was still Tuesdays and Fridays, but it was much looser. You know. Most of the time on Fridays, there wasn't even a book show. It was kind of like show up and go up, you know, because there was only 7 people, 10 people coming out a night for it at a time, and that's, I mean, it was kind of a blessing, you know, to be able to perform at such an early stage, to be able to go up twice a week, for 10 minutes at a time, you know, and to really find your groove up there. To a sea of nobody, and one guy at the back of the bar that screams, "You're not funny," you know, one of the most precise heckles I've ever heard in my life.
They hate it. Hate it when they're right.
Yeah. And then a lot of like really crazy shows coming through where it's like, God, what the fuck is happening right now? Like, how do we, you know, so like if you're hosting a show, how do I as a host get things back to where they need to be for the next person to go up well?
Yeah.
So all those, like that's what it was. That's what it was like, and that's what it's still kind of like sometimes. But it's much more. There's a method to it now. You know, we're all. I will say this. Most of the new people that show up now are tenfold better than some of the new people that were showing up back when I started. You know, probably including me whenever I started. A lot of people bring like. They're not great when they first go on, but they have some sense of like what you're supposed to be as a stand-up comedian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Me, I don't know. I mean, I blew my first time going up. It sucked. It was terrible. And I don't know if anyone even saw anything in me, you know. But I kept coming back, and I figured it out because I was surrounded by good comedians.
Yeah. And that goes a long way. Just... You know, having good comedians around, I feel like every week somebody tosses out. There's so much stuff to pull from education-wise, being around good comedians, that every week I can find something to latch onto and be like, this is what I'm going to work on this week. You know, is this piece. And that's the exact opposite of having to come up with a scene on your own, which it speaks volumes as to why I think people progress at the rate they do around here. Because I've gotten to see some people show up that have come since I've gotten here, and to see the acceleration rate and just to be able to be like, oh wow, like that guy just started. I need to be able to do that too. Like, look at his tool belt. I need some of those tools myself.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a great environment for that. It's a really great environment for that.
Yeah, a lot of good people. Breeds competition, but also it kind of, there's no hate, there's no like malice behind the competition here either.
Yeah, it's just plateaus of how, I see other people kill, and it's like, man, I want to kill like that. Like, it's nothing against.
But then they come off stage, and you're like, you like shake their hand and talk.
Oh
to them
shit,
about
hell
it.
yeah. Hell yeah.
You're like super interested in how they did it.
I don't understand how people get angry about it, like competition. As someone who I feel strongly in identity and perspective, and everybody has something unique to offer. So the idea of being in competition with getting up and speaking your mind with someone else, like, good luck. How could you ever speak that person's mind for them? It's not comparable. I mean, I guess you can compare the way people connect to audiences. There's some things that you can compare from comedians, but then again, those are just tools, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's something that I don't know. I think most comedians, probably all of comedians actually, probably share like the same general philosophy when it comes to being on stage.
Yeah. I think so, because it's simple and primitive like that. Like, the goal is to make these people laugh.
Right.
It's not complicated.
Right. Yeah.
It's hard, but it's not complicated.
And there are avenues to get there. There's avenues to get there quickly, and then there's avenues that are maybe a little harder to take, and those are the goals that we're trying to overcome.
So dig into style. Like, you have style. Obviously, like I just said, everybody has their own style to some degree, but learning our own styles, that's something you hear a lot of comedians talk about, finding their own voice. What has that been like for you? What does your style look like growing up in this environment? Not you growing up, your style growing up in this environment.
Well, ever since I was a baby growing up in the scene.
David Copperfield, that shit, I am born.
I found a book. That was written in a book, right?
Yeah, David Copperfield.
Yeah, I found that book in an antique store, and I was like, dude, what the fuck? That's a great find.
Yeah, it is. It is a classic.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
I bought it, never read it.
It's got a great opening line. That's the part you need.
It really does.
It's the part you need.
Yeah.
But I remember finding comedians that do different things well and going, this is what I need to study. Like, Jimmy Carr is really good at delivering a quick joke, no fat.
Yeah.
Louis C.K. is a really good storyteller. Louis Black, angry, dark, really good at being that angry comedian. And then one of my favorites growing up was Carlin, and
I don't think
each of them has their own style,
See, like Louis C.K. was one of my whenever I started watching him and getting into stand up, like I started like he's not. I wouldn't say I modeled myself after him, but he was like the first guy I looked at and like, that's what I want to do. I want to control a room, that's something I respect out of comedy, and I always will. It's like one person up there, just controlling the whole room,
Yeah.
And it's just so. I don't know. It's a weird power dynamic, You're so enthralled by this one person.
Yeah.
Or came to rise, I'm sure.
Well, it's captivating. Anybody it's like Samuel Clemens said, anybody that can get themselves elected president does not deserve the office, because we have this thing about people who stand up and captivate other people. Yeah. On one hand, it's fascinating, and on the other hand, it's like, what kind of snake oil is this jackass selling?
Exactly. Yeah, he must be a sociopath.
Yeah, and he probably is.
Right. But
he just manages it well.
But going back to styles, I don't think Louis C.K. I don't think of him as a storyteller. I think of him as an absurdist.
I think you're right. As soon as I said it, I kind of disagreed with that. I think
there
are other storytellers,
right?
But there are other people that are really exemplar storytellers, as he is. I agree with you. I think he's an absurdist.
He's probably over the years has gotten way better at telling stories.
Sure.
And like for me, that was one thing that I have never been good at, is telling stories. Like even to friends, it's taken me a long time to be able to tell you a story about me selling my soul to the devil.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't a great story or anything, but at least I'm able to hold your attention.
Yeah.
And that's a struggle that I'm trying to overcome on stage, is being able to tell stories.
I totally agree with you.
What happened? Did you stop recording?
No, I have to hit that button, and I go through this on like every podcast because it's funny. But I have to reset that button because the type of camera that I use is because of this factory specs, it's only allowed to record for so long without having to be reset.
Did it miss all that gold that I have?
No. It gives me a little warning that says it's time to reset. Your 25 minutes of continuous recording are up.
As long as it didn't. Wait, did it miss the part where I told you about killing all those people?
I got it all. Okay. I got it all, including the location of the bodies,
including Vernon, Florida, where I'm from.
Yes. We talk about your foot.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, and occasionally it'll get missed, but it all ends up on the podcast. So it's the running joke that if something falls off of YouTube, you can always go. That means you have to go listen to the whole podcast. So
wow, that's very enticing. Very enticing.
Oh man, but yeah. So we were talking about storytellers, and I can empathize because I've got an uncle that's a great storyteller, and all my life it's been like I want to be able to do that.
Right.
And so every word you just said, I have said before.
Yeah, you're so jealous of someone like that sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing. They can captivate an audience, you know. And I guess I'm just like finding your voice is kind of just a nice way of saying that's what I'm trying to do, but in my own way. You know, I'm trying to figure out how I can do that. So I do a lot of crowd work. You know, I try to stay loose up there. Because I grew up in this fucking scene, man. Because I grew up I started doing comedy in a bar that didn't want me doing comedy in it. You know?
Yeah. That's a different thing. I mean, then somebody that gets to walk into a comedy, like I can't imagine if my first time had been in a legit comedy club with a comedy savvy crowd that was there to see comedy. I imagine that's a different thing than doing comedy in a bar room. Yeah.
I'm sure even then it's like some of the audience members are like, you know, it happens less often because it's a comedy club.
Sure.
I can only assume, but I'm sure there's still audience members there that are like, you know, you can't make me laugh. You know, it's like they're there to test you.
Like the Apollo.
Yeah. It's like God sent me as a fucking crusader to test you. You know?
Make me laugh.
Yeah, bitch.
Yeah, do it now. Storytelling's really, really tricky. I was thinking about revisiting some stories. I'm not there yet. You know, I've tried a couple of times in some open mics and when I had a lot of room, but trying to tell a story on stage, I think that's the biggest challenge I've got right now, if I had to look at it, is timing and tempo. It's something that I'm spending a lot of time learning right now. Because my timing and my tempo gets off because my memory is not as prepared as it should be.
Yeah, some people, it's weird. You can like listening to Tony Burkett tell a story, you know, off stage, because he doesn't really do it. He doesn't really do it like he can tell he can spin a yarn, dude. This motherfucker, like the way he tells stories, it's like he's recounting every fucking single detail of that memory, and I just don't have that kind of memory. So I guess I just have to think I'm a fly, you know. I'm cursed.
And it's funny you say it that way because I never thought of it as his memory. I always thought of it as his timing, and he was able to maintain this tempo, and he's just got his rhythm is so well rehearsed that it comes naturally now, and so everything that he puts out there just has that rhythm that hits, you know.
Yeah, it's almost like there are. I don't know. I was trying to say this without sounding like a pretentious or an asshole, but like there are thinkers and there are doers. You know, you and I probably are more of a thinker, right? Like it takes us a while to get to our point because we're coming up with it in the moment. You know, and then there are other people who just like are just a vessel for like what they see and hear, and you know, and they can just relay it.
Yeah.
But it just takes other people longer to convey that message or be good at just saying it.
Yeah. I am fascinated by that though because it's the flow state to me, you know, and getting to the point where I would be good enough to be able to do something like that is a goal. And I was talking to Tony about this, and he gave me some great advice. It's something I've been working on the last couple of weeks, and it's if you break off on a tangent or get sidetracked in the middle of verbatim material, you'll always have something to go back to, which was really good advice for me because, and it just so happened that night I had missed a couple of beats and had to look at my notes a couple extra times.
Yeah, right.
Whereas if I had those markers to come back to, and I've been working on it since then, and the last couple of times I've been up, you know, of course, he's a fucking genius. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
You know, he can see it. So
he's a prodigy.
Yeah.
He's like in his 30s, but he's a child prodigy.
Yeah. So, but having a scene like this where you get to pick people's brain, you know, like that, it's very fun. It's very, very fun.
Right.
So 4 years, the scene here at the back porch.
I mean, you've been doing it for a year, right?
Yeah, almost. Yeah, about a year. It was last summer.
I'm sure you get people coming up to you and like, how do you do it? You know?
Yeah, I tell people that I've been a bullshit artist all my life.
It's a ridiculous question to ask someone even into year 4 or 5 or what the fuck ever. It's kind of a bullshit question to ask because half the time they're just figuring it out also.
Yeah, I don't have a good answer.
Yeah.
Like I can tell you what I do, but I can't tell you why all that works.
Just do it, you know?
Yeah. Repetition, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's the only good advice that I've ever been able to relay to anybody. It's just, if you want to do stand-up, then go out there and do it. You know.
I agree.
And if it's not working out for you, then I don't know. Do it from a different angle.
Yeah.
Or just don't do it if you fucking hate it. If you hate that you can't. I don't know. If you're getting so frustrated that's not fun, then don't do it.
Yeah. Definitely don't do it. Definitely not. It's got to be amusing.
Yeah. But if you're having fun and it's not working, then try something else, I guess.
Yeah. For me, it was just performing. You know, being able to have a creative outlet is awesome. You know, most people don't have a voice or aren't comfortable speaking in public. There are lots of reasons that people do or don't do things. Well, it's all speculation.
That's a weird point too. Is like, are you okay speaking in public in general?
Yeah.
Really?
I always have been. I was a public speaker way before I ever decided to do this. That's why I tell people that I've been comfortable on stage for a long time, and so now I am learning how to be funny on stage, on demand, and how to write material and write a joke and then deliver that.
Right.
So, but I've been a public speaker, so I used to get up and give speeches and teach classes about public speaking. So that's not hard for me.
That's like a fucking Inception idea, like giving a speech about public speaking.
I've done it.
It's like, what kind of fucking world are we living in? It's like
college, that's the kind of world.
Rabbit hole.
Redundancies. That's what adult daycare is. It's called college, and if you have enough money, they will let you in.
Yeah.
It's pretty much all that bullshit.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. I mean, I didn't know that about you. I didn't know that you were a public speaker before. I was always shy. I'm still pretty shy.
Yeah.
When it comes to groups, but you know, when it comes to comedy, it's like you're in control. They're giving you the time. You have this allotted time.
It's a very, very fun thing.
It's almost like you have permission to be the center of attention.
Yeah.
So you don't feel, I don't know.
I've never thought about it that way, but that is kind of. You have permission to be the center of attention, but okay. So what is it that bugs me when people don't pay attention? It's a respect thing. Like one of my OCDs and anger is so that like I can get triggered real easy.
That's why you don't have a kid anymore, because he didn't respect you.
No, a little fucker.
Yeah. You showed him. Talking about Vernon, Florida.
Bridges are tall, man.
Bridges are tall, man. That's a good quote.
That happens.
That's the opening line to your book.
I imagine that's the kind of quote you would get out of Vernon, Florida, though. Bridges are tall,
man.
You know, like you hear those old sayings, like, what in the world?
Yeah, right. How the fuck did that, like, shit from Shinola? I had to look up what that meant, you know?
Polish and polish and polish.
That's right.
Oh, man.
That's right. Yeah, that was a good. Raising Arizona opened that one up to me.
That's been a long time since I've seen Raising Arizona.
So amazing. That's one of my favorite movies, just for the opening scene alone.
Yeah, why is that?
Because like it's Nick Cage, you know, back in his heyday, and like Holly Hunter, and God, I love Holly Hunter, and I don't know, it's just like he's a caper, you know, like he's out doing crimes and then getting taken into the jail, and like within the first 5 minutes, it's this love story, you know, and then the rest of the movie is a heist movie. They're stealing babies, you know. I love that movie so much.
I always felt like it was the beginnings of Trailer Park Boys.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why, but it seemed like when Trailer Park Boys came along, that was Raising Arizona was the first thing I thought of. It's like, how did this?
I can kind of see
get crossed up in my head.
I can kind of see that because it's a movie, like, what was it, shot in the 90s, you know?
Yeah,
so
early 90s, I think.
So I mean, the visuals were, you know, and it's also in the desert too, and in like a isolated area. Trailer Park Boys, I don't know.
Hilarious.
I don't know. I don't. I used to hate that show.
Me too.
I used to hate that show.
Somebody made me watch it, and I was like, okay, I can do this for a little while.
Yeah, I have to admit that it's pretty funny sometimes. But one time Tony had to open up for the Trailer Park Boys at the Vinyl. Did you hear this story?
No. Huh.
So they do this thing where they go to like rock clubs, and I guess a few of the cast members will go out and do skits, and then like, you know, just do references to the show and shit. And people come out in droves, stoners and shit, alike, to I guess to laugh at them quoting a show. It's the strangest thing to me.
Whatever.
I haven't seen the show, so it might be great, but it sounds fucking stupid.
It does. It reminds me of something, but yeah.
So it reminds you of somebody?
No. So Patton Oswalt told this joke about how he did this set for a bunch of drunk college students, and he just walked out on stage and named every movie that he was in, and they roariously applauded for everyone. And then he walked off because it was the weirdest gig I ever did. I'm like, okay, that's what that sounds like to me. That's what I see in my head.
I wish I could have a career like that where I can just walk on stage and take my credits. You know,
read your resume.
Yeah, born in West Florida Hospital. Woo!
Just leave on a blank tombstone.
Yeah.
We'll let you know when it's over. Peace out.
I liked Raising Arizona. Yeah! We love you.
So they do these Trailer Park Boys skits, and they asked Tony to come open up for him?
Yeah, well, I don't know who the fuck asked Tony, but Tony did get a gig opening up for them at the Vinyl, which is our big rock club, you know?
Yep.
And he was all jazzed about it because it's a comedy show meant for people who like comedy, supposedly. But he's doing stand-up. These guys don't do stand-up.
Yeah.
But he's opening up with stand-up, and he walks out, and this is all second-hand account, me telling you. So he walks out, and the crowd is rowdy, and 30 seconds in, they just start like booing him, basically.
Goodness gracious.
They just start booing him, and like, I guess, I don't know, probably at one point there's a chant like, Trailer Park Boys, Trailer Park Boys. And then Tony, can't get him back. It's impossible it's like a huge group of people and a huge crowd, and he can't get him back. So he introduces Trailer Park Boys, and he walks off stage, and they come on stage, and the first thing they say is something like donkey fuck or something like that, something retarded, and they go crazy, dude. They start cheering, start throwing roses on stage and shit, the fucking cousins kissing each other in the audience.
This is like the insane clown posse of
Exactly.
comedy.
Exactly. But I think that the insane clown posse will respect the comedian more.
Probably.
So that's I'd rather go to a gathering than to a fucking Trailer Park Boys show.
Yeah. The horror. I can't imagine. Poor Tony.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite stories. It has so many pivotal moments, and it's like you think it's going to be great, and then they start booing you, and you hang your head in shame. but knowing that you're doing comedy is enough. And then they walk out screaming donkey fuck and get a huge applause. And it's like, what am I doing with my life? It's not that hard. I don't have to think to be good, to be loved.
That's so insane. Craziness.
Yeah.
Man, well, before I let us get out of here, we've covered a lot of the big bases. I think.
I'm talking about comedy a lot. I didn't mean it to come into like a.
No, that's okay because that's your perspective, man. If I asked you to put your perspective of yada 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 on the table, it would have some comedy in it. I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, that's all I talked about. Though,
yeah, so there you go. I'm totally okay with it. But so relate comedy to the world around you, as big or as small as you want that to be.
Like, you're like a philosopher, right?
I do. Yeah, I do a little philosophizing.
Yeah, you like talking about philosophy.
Well, but here's the reason I asked. So truth, love, and peace being the idea behind my philosophy, and so truth is just perspective, and so we've covered perspective for the most part, and love is just a word for emotion. So we've talked about what it is to bomb and be nervous and all that good stuff. We've covered all that stuff. The only thing that we haven't gotten real into is more of the stories, like more of the stories of the 4 years coming up, and the way that you relate to the world around you. And that's a really complicated way of saying, what do you feel about what's going on in the world today? Or what do you think about it? Or do you get to notice it?
I mean, from my perspective, I guess, like, I know, I'm a pretty vague person to begin with, you know, it's like, but doing comedy has shown me, like, you don't need to be this brooding character, or like, you know, you don't have to look at the world from a cynical point of view for it, you know, for you to have a unique take on it, you know, like, I don't know.
Well, how about this for a question? Do you think in the day and age of corporations having a lot more control than they have in the last 30 years, what have the negative impacts of that been in comedy? That's way too leading. I'm not sure what I'm trying to get at here. I guess
I don't know.
Do you like Trump? No. I really don't want to talk about politics, but current events, it's hard to get away from the politics.
Well, to be honest, man, like I have no interest in current events. Almost no interest. I like to I like to enjoy myself as much as I can, you know, which is kind of hedonistic, I guess, putting it that way.
But that's a version of current events, man, like that, and that's exactly what I was looking for. So I would say my version of current events is it's all about being around me. Like the things that I can touch, the things that I do every week are more significant to me than the news from the other side of the world.
Right.
Like I pay attention to that sometimes, but there are all kinds of degrees. Some people's current events are here, you know, here and now. Some people's current events are around the world. So that's...
My current events are like movies from the mid-90s. That's what I really enjoy.
I was trying to tie this into here and now at the back porch, and I don't think I can get there through 90s movies.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It was a great curveball. Because I was thinking about how to tie that into... I guess what I want to talk about is how being here at the back porch on a Friday and getting ready for this awesome show down here that happens every Friday night this week with JJ Curry and everybody else that's going to be on it, and the late show with Ryan.
Yeah, good plugs.
I try and get all that in. But how is that influenced by the rest of the craziness that's going on in the world?
Yeah, that's a fucking good question, man. Because like usually it seems like my life is just one blur, you know. Yeah. And there's these moments in my life like coming here is always fucking great because it's something I can super focus on, you know. Yeah. But everything else, it's just I am so like constantly depressed by the world around me day to day, you know. Yeah. And I wish I could just live this. I wish I could just do this for a living, you know. Yeah. I wish money wasn't involved. I wish I could just do comedy all the time and hang out with people who I like talking to.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Everything else is bullshit.
I agree. So much waste of time. There's a book out. It's like Bullshit Jobs. It's science. People that do the research, they found out that most people's jobs can be done in like 3 hours a day, and yet you're forced to sit around for 6 or 7 hours and pretend like you're being productive.
That's fucking prison, right?
Yeah, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. And that's the kind of current events that I'm talking about. Like, the state of the world has just gotten fucking insane. Like, I really think one of the reasons that the comedy scene suffers, and this is how we'll segue into this, the comedy scene, I think, suffers greatly because there's not enough money for people to go out. They just don't have the budget to go see these shows. Yeah. And then on top of that, they can't afford the time to have that kind of entertainment. And right now, it seems like there's a lot of chime in anywhere.
I was gonna say that's kind of like a big reason I want to be in the entertainment industry. You know, is because either I'm saving up all my money to eventually go out and be entertained. You know, go see a movie or go to a comedy show or go to a fucking theme park, whatever it might be. Or I could live in that and probably be broke for a long time, but I'm constantly around like what is fun and what I love doing, and like the lighter side of life, you know. Yeah.
The fun part.
The fun part of life, or the part where the people come to get distracted from current events, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Yeah. Well, the bullshit that's not directly involved in your life that you pretend like is. That's what most people's idea of current events is. News that doesn't pertain to them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why would you revolve your life around like media? You know,
it'll drive you fucking insane.
Well, I say media because then again, I love movies and shit like that. I meant like news. And politics or whatever it might be. You know.
Yeah, because it doesn't yield results. Like, there's a Rick and Morty joke. Fucking peace summits, man. It's not like we're drowning in peace over here. I love that line. I love that line.
I gotta pee, man.
Well, this is a good place to end it. I'll ask you one final question, though. As far as hopes for the scene in Pensacola, what can we do to help spread the word, or i.e. what can we plug to get more people out to, and if you could ask one thing, everybody, to help the comedy scene in Pensacola, what would it be?
I think, first of all, something like what you're doing. You know, I wanted to say this earlier whenever we were talking about how the scene is evolving. What you're doing and what Joey has done is giving a platform for comedians to talk about stuff and introduce them as people who are on the scene doing comedy. You guys are doing more than you realize, I think.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for sitting down, because it's fun. I like having these conversations and learn more about people instead of just hearing your jokes here and there at the bar.
I hate it, man.
Good.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm a pretty closed off person, but this has been a lot of fun.
Who do we need to plug? Before I let you run off to the bathroom, get them all in there.
I don't know, plugs. I mean.
Well, Back Porch Comedy.
There's Ryan Pfeiffer doing his late show. Tony Burkett is the booker of the Friday shows here, the early Friday shows.
All the people we love.
Come out on Tuesdays and support the open micers, man, because that's where the fucking magic happens. You know, everything that you see on a Friday has probably been said on a Tuesday. You know,
dozens of times at least.
Yes. And then there's magic that happens too, but you come out and support comedians. If you like comedy, if you don't like comedy, go fuck yourself and die in a hole, you know?
Yeah. The world doesn't need you.
You know, if there's any venues out there that are interested in doing comedy, reach out to Compton or Tony.
Could somebody let us do comedy for you?
Or reach out to me. I mean, I'll probably ignore your Facebook message for 3 weeks, but then I'll eventually get back to you, you know?
Sooner or later. No, well, look at that. We hit the timing spot on. So This has been perfect.
Cool, man.
Later, YouTube. See y'all next time.
Yeah, man.